Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to round number 2 of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships. And we have got the big boats heading out onto the course now. We've got Supercat Extreme and Supercat Outboard. Two of the big bangers for a 30-minute race. We've got Boost Mobile Racing, Darren Nicholson and Peter Muddy McGrath. And we've got Acme Racing with Andrew Searle and Tom Barry Cotter. Very, very well-known names in offshore powerboat racing. In fact, Darren Nicholson, 2023 world champion, won that championship in Key West in Florida with his American operation. Been running here in Australia, current champion here in Australia and round 1 winner. Supercat outboard category, we've got the Mantis, the Sting, the TCR Racing and DLR Offshore. So boats we're looking for as we'll pick them up as they come through on their sighting lap here, ladies and gentlemen. Round number 1 of the National Drivers' Championship for these guys. 2 rounds this year, this round and in 3 weeks' time, round number 2 at Geelong. Brought to you by Hornet Property Services, Motec and MSC Signs. And of course, keep your eyes out on 7 Mate and 7 Plus for the fantastic shows that are being put together here at the this weekend by Sean Henshelwood and his team at 321 Ignition. Let's have a look at them as they come through. The big orange machine, current champion, world champion, Darren Nicholson, Peter Muddy McGrath in the Boost Mobile. On the outside of them, it's Tom Barry Cotter and Andrew Searle in the Acme Racing. Now our Supercat outboard boats, current Australian champion, the Mantis, Anthony DeFina and Matthew Kelly. Then on the inside of them, the TCR Racing, Scotty Richardson and Steve Kelly. On the inside, the yellow machine is the Sting. Mickey Ratcliffe and Carl Wall doing it for Lockie. And the blue and white machine, the DLR, the Dove Lancaster Racing Machine, with Steve Lancaster and Craig Dove. Couple of good old ski race boys there. This boat's had a long, long history in the sport. It's actually an aluminium catamaran, running a pair of 3-litre Mercury 2-strokes on the back of this boat, so some older technology. The other, so Mantis and Sting are both running the QC4V 4.6-litre V8 4-stroke Mercury outboards, the 300Rs, and TCR running the 3.2-litre 2-stroke Optimax Strokers, 300 horsepower engines on the back of that boat. So a little bit of a mixture of engine combinations. The Sting is the newest boat in the field. And great to see Anthony DeFina's father, Big Tony DeFina, in the crowd here today as well. Welcome to you, Tone. I'm up here, Big Tone. Good on you, mate. Nice to see you here, brother. So sighting lap nearly done for these guys. And what a beautiful place to race. Finally, I've got a camera person up here that knows what she's doing. Hi, Tilly. Hi. Been up here with those smelly boys for too long, Till. I'm glad you're here. Much prettier and far more intelligent. So once the start boat's happy, folks, we will get these guys out of the milling area. And they'll start in 2 grids. So Supercat Extreme and then, of course, our Supercat outboard categories. For those of you watching at home, just a little bit of on board there from Sting from a previous meeting. Great to see Mike Radcliffe and Carl Wall. This boat's super competitive and it's only getting better and better. Okay, folks, cast your eyes to the left of screen. Supercat Extreme, the Boost Mobile 222 racing on the inside, the Acme racing on the outside. The flag drops and the you know what stops. We're racing around number 2 of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships. Nicholson and McGrath, Tom Barry Cotter and Andrew Searle put their hammers down and fly down into turn number 1. Those big Maritimo race engines sounding absolutely superb as they tip down into turn number 1 for the first time around. Barry Cotter and Searle have a little bit of a look at the inside of the wash. In fact, they're going to try and sneak up the inside. They do. Hammers go down and up the back straight away. Flag drops for our second grid, which is our Supercat outboards. TCR gets a cracker. The Sting gets a fantastic start. Mantis on the outside. And DLR Racing, you throw a blanket over them as they tip down into the port turn at turn number 1 here, round number 2 of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships. So it's TCR, the polemen, doing a beautiful job. Scotty Richardson and Stevie Kelly. Mantis has dropped back in the field, so it is TCR and Sting at the moment charging up the back chute. So this is going to be very, very interesting now because TCR and Sting have got a good break. Mantis need to make up some ground. They pull away now from DLR up into a solid third spot. So Craig Dove and Stevie Lancaster, this is their only about their third race in this boat. So still learning the ropes, but I tell you what, they hang on to Mantis as they go up the back chute. Boost Mobile, Nicholson and McGrath have got a good break here on Acme Racing at the moment. So Searle and Barry Cotter are going to need to get their skates on if they want to make up the ground on the world champion. So good to see Big Peter Muddy McGrath in the cockpit and hard on the throttles as he brings it down. Looking pretty fit, Big Mud Man, at the moment too. I saw him last night. He's absolutely on the hard charge now. Acme Racing. Looks like it's a little bit nosy for mine at the moment, throwing a bit of an odd rooster tail out the back of that boat. Don't seem to be able to get the nose up into the air maybe as much as they want. So it's Boost Mobile down in the bottom turn, back to Acme Racing. So Darren Nicholson, Peter Muddy McGrath far away. For those of you watching at home, on board with the Sting, who are race leader at the moment. So they've made a big break there on TCR. After a little bit of an ordinary start, they've found their skates. And Mickey Radcliffe and Carl Wall have not won a race in this boat yet, but I tell you what, that might change today. The Mantis goes storming past the TCR. A bad start there for Kelly and Defina, but they're certainly starting to get their skates on now as they tip it into the port turn. TCR run up into third spot. They bring it down through the bottom. And Lancaster and Dove down through the bottom turn. This particular boat used to run a pair of V8 Evinrudes on it, and it was a rocket ship back in the day. Wouldn't be allowed to run those in this category nowadays. With my old mate DJ Horton, who used to run it with his brother Brad out of Queensland, but now it's The Dove Lancaster Racing entry as they fire at the back chute. Gee, look at this. Nicholson and McGrath absolutely on it here. Down through the bottom turn, and Boost Mobile doing it nicely. And this newly put together Acme Racing machine, Tom Barry Cotter and Andrew Searle. Andrew Searle, a name that's probably very well known to the people that are interested in drag racing in Australia. Andrew is a very, very well known top door slammer drag racer. And he fires up the back chute. The Boost Mobile 222 machine with the Johnny Barbagallo race engines in that particular boat. Half an hour run for these guys, and this is going to be the interesting battle. The Mantis now coming back at the Sting. So the Sting with a very good start. Carl Wall and Mickey Radcliffe. They'll have their mirrors full now of the Mantis. In fact, Kelly will wheel this boat right up the inside. The Mantis has left the door open. They've written him a welcome letter. And the Mantis just slides up the inside like a rat up a drain pipe. And that is unbelievable. Just run far too wide in the Sting. And the Mantis takes full advantage, runs up the inside, and now they are gunnel to gunnel up the back chute. And on the inside, Kelly and Defina will not be able to believe their luck. So the battle continues on in the Supercat outboard now. Running into third is the TCR. The race leader now, Boost Mobile, comes through. Nicholson and McGrath. DLR running in fourth spot in Supercat outboard. And Acme Racing, Searle Brothers Racing, Andrew Searle down through the bottom turn, along with Tommy Barry Cotter, getting it done nice. I tell you what, there'll be some frantic work going on over in the pits at the moment with our other categories, our Super V85, Super Sport 85 and Super Sport 65. A lot of attrition. I'll be waiting for a report to come through from the pits and see who's damaged what and who's going to be able to get back out onto the course. On board with the Sting and watching Mike Radcliffe and Carl Wall at work. But I tell you what, what's happened up here? They've made a lot of ground on Mantis. This is unbelievable stuff. Something's happened with the Mantis. They were right alongside the Sting. And I don't know what's gone on here. But the Mantis running that wide line, the Sting running that wide line, the Mantis took full advantage of them down here on the previous lap, but not so, no such luck for them this time. So Kelly and Defina, something has gone on that lap. I'll try and work out what it was for you, but they've dropped right out the back door and a fairly distant second place now to the Sting with Mickey Radcliffe and Carl Wall. Down the bottom turn, we've got Acme Racing. They haven't quite got the pace at the moment to try and get the 222 Boost Mobile machine done, but reliability could be a key factor in this race as well. We've seen a lot of attrition in the previous race. We haven't seen any in this yet, but touch some wood. You never know in offshore powerboat racing. These boats take an absolute beating. Okay, so here we go. I tell you what, this gap is starting to open out. The Sting, this brand new Maritimo hull, is absolutely on fire here at the moment. In fact, they have gapped the Mantis. I think there must be a problem with the Mantis, because Defina and Kelly are dropping away lap after lap, and this is an absolute disaster for these guys. Boost Mobile 222 with Nicholson and McGrath go through. And they set off on their merry way. They've got a very big gap now on Acme Racing. So Andrew Searle and Tom Barry Cotter bring the boat down through the bottom turn. Tom Barry Cotter, of course, been racing. I was chatting to him this morning, been racing now for 20 years, which just staggers me because I remember him as a snotty-nosed brat running around the pits, around the Riviera and Maritimo camps. And now one of the most experienced offshore racers in the country, if not in the world. Lots of ex-cat and international racing experience under his belt. And, of course, the Australian Championship, whenever he's at home, he always competes in that. TCR look like they've come off a little bit, the pace. It just looks like it's just come down a touch. These guys a little bit outgunned by the 300 horsepower V8 four-strokes on the Mantis and on the Sting. They're running the 3.2 litre Optimax strokers on the back of this beautiful AMT Doug Wright machine. And DLR coming down the front straight away. They're about to be gobbled up here by Boost Mobile 222. Big shout out to Boost Mobile for coming on board and sponsoring this team. Hornet Property Services, one of our wonderful sponsors here this weekend as well. Big shout out to those guys. Hornet Property Services and Hornet Plumbing. And look at this, this is a lap already. So the Sting's starting to put a lap on some of the slower boats in the category. DLR move out of the way. They know they haven't got the guns to go with the Sting. So Dove and Lancaster move out of the way and let Ratcliffe and Wall go on their merry winning way at the moment. So the breeze coming up, and as you can see, these bigger boats handling the rough weather a lot more comfortably than the smaller ski racing style boats that we saw out earlier. And plenty of work going on in the pits to try and get these boats sorted out and turned around. Okay, front straight away.
This is easy 4, not easy 6, but yeah, I'll take him in.
On board for those of you watching at home with the Sting, and you can see the conditions. Just a bit choppy for these boys, but they're doing a beautiful job, and they have got a very, very strong lead over the Mantis. A lot of potential from this boat, but still in its very early stages of development. You see him fire at the back shooting. Actually, acceleration-wise, the Sting hangs with him, which is very interesting to see. Look at that. We go on board with the Sting now for those of you watching at home, and we see the spray from the Acme machine just on that starboard side of the boat. But that just goes to show how hard the Sting's pushing at the moment. And this boat, very, very competitive. Mantis will be coming up to put a lap on DLR, but unfortunately for Team Mantis, they have not got the pace today. So Anthony DeFina and Matthew Kelly, current series champions, and they won 3 from 3 at round number 1, but at the moment, they don't even look like putting a dent in the Sting's lead. Darren Nicholson and Peter Muddy McGrath in the Boost Mobiles 222 Racing entry. Beautiful Boost mobile phones. Get on board, support our sponsors where you can. Boat looks fantastic. It's beautiful orange Boost livery. And it's a great billboard for Boost Mobile. Running with a very professional team in Peter Muddy McGrath and Darren Nicholson. World champion, former world champion. Acme Racing coming through now. This boat looks absolutely superb. Beautifully turned out. I just feel like they maybe have a bit of a balance issue potentially in that boat. It just looks a little bit nosy for mine. It's throwing a fairly big rooster tail. And it looks like it's just running on its nose a touch. A boat that doesn't look like it's got any drama at all is this boat, the Sting, now coming through. Mickey Ratcliffe, the Kiwi, Car Wall, out of Queensland. And a brand new boat, this machine. So they went to the V8s on their old boat. They had a 28-foot Skater Cat the end of last season, and now this boat's come online this season. Had a little bit of a learning curve at Lake Macquarie, but I tell you what, I almost hope there is a problem with the Mantis, because I tell you what, if the Sting's got that much pace on the Mantis and the Mantis is having a good run, they have got a lot of work to do. DLR looks like it's pulled up, so Stevie Lancaster and Craig Dove, unfortunately for those guys, the Dove Lancaster Racing entry pulls into the centre of the course with its hatch up. Disappointing. The ski race boys, they've been getting beaten up here this weekend, Barney. I bet you're glad you're not out there, son. The ski racing boys have all been whacked from pillar to post. Welcome to Offshore, boys. Down through the bottom turn, the Mantis about to be overhauled by the Boost Mobile. Sorry, I got my boats wrong, Barn. Too much blue and too much white. It's TCR, sorry, that's got a problem there. So it's Steve Kelly and Scotty Richardson, because DLR Racing comes down through the bottom turn. They're looking strong. So the ski race boys doing it nicely. So TCR with the hatch up coming down into the bottom turn. Acme Racing has a cheeky look up the inside of DLR. Yeah, looks like, TCR pretty keen to get back to the marina. I hope there's not a hole in that boat. But they would have spoken to race control. All these boats are in communication with Russell Embleton at race control, and they would have asked if they can cross the course to get back into the pits. So it looks like, I don't know what it looks like. Boat's up on the plane, okay. Let's hope it's not any hull damage. I know they have been doing some fiberglass work this week on that boat. So they'll get that back in the pits, and let's hope it's something minor that can be sorted out to race again tomorrow. Another race, 2 races for these guys tomorrow. So the Sting, they could turn the wick right down to about number 5 now as they cruise through. Mickey Radcliffe and Carl Wall, they'll be enjoying Wyndham Harbour at the moment. Down through the bottom turn, Boost Mobile now, tips it in. Peter McGrath hard on the throttles as they exit. They're doing it comfortably now. Mantis coming through. Just trying to watch the attitude of the Mantis boat here. The boat looks good, but it's just way off the pace. So I'm not sure what's happening there. There certainly doesn't seem to be anything irregular that I can see. But I tell you what, if that boat's running well and Sting's got that much on them, they have got a lot of work to do. That means the Sting has come a very, very long way in a very short time. But I still think that there may be some sort of a technical issue with the Mantis, because I do not expect them to be that far off the pace. Down the front straight away, and we got Dove Lancaster Racing getting the job done nicely. This boat always going to be a little off the pace due to the fact it's running smaller engines effectively than the other 3 in their category. And you can see the pace difference between themselves and race leader the Sting, as the Sting just ducks up the inside, and Radcliffe and Wall set off on their merry way. They'll be pretty happy at the moment. They'll be hearing every rattle and every noise in that boat at the minute, because they know they've got this one bedded down. The only thing that's going to stop them is a mistake, i.e. missing a turn buoy or something silly, or a mechanical failure. Same with this boat, Boost Mobile, McGrath and Nicholson. These boys have been in this position a lot. They know how to preserve a boat and get it home, and they do not make mistakes. Well, when I interview Darren, he makes some mistakes, but not in the boat. So just picking up now, front chute, Acme Racing. Boat absolutely beautiful. Oh, a little bit of a, maybe a little bit of a hook there as they come in, but they hang on to it. And off they set down the back chute. Mantis coming through now. So this is the gap between the Mantis and the Sting. It is half a lap. Half a lap, Bun. I did not expect this. I'm sure that Mantis has some type of issue, because there really isn't that much between these two boats unless Sting is fitted the nitrous or supercharger. But I don't think that it's a fair fight at the moment, and I think the Sting's got everything going their way at the minute. Mantis up the back chute, Matty Kelly and Anthony DeFina. Front straight away, Boost Mobile just puts a lap on. So there's your two race leaders, folks. Boost Mobile, Darren Nicholson, Peter Muddy McGrath. Down into the bottom turn. And then the Sting, Carl Wall and Mickey Ratcliffe. Okay, 27 minutes gone in this 30-minute race, so we'll only see another 1 or 2 laps at this stage. Acme Racing going through, ticking off another lap. A few guys out here now just in preservation mode. Acme can't catch Boost Mobile unless they get a miracle. DLR can't catch Mantis, and Mantis can't catch the Sting. So it's become a little bit of a procession, this one. But I am interested to see where Mantis is at. They just don't look on the pace at all from this angle. The boat's not dancing like it normally does. It's sitting down in the water. And I think there's a problem in the Mantis camp. So whether they've gone for a bad propeller selection, whether they've got some sort of technical issue that's keeping the pace off, but I would say they're trying to bring that boat home. And try and collect points. They're still in good position. They're still in second spot. We'd still get some good points towards the championship. So for a race win, folks, the boats teams collect 35 points. A second place picks them up 30 points and 26 points for a third. So it'll be a 5-point buffer. And bear in mind that Mantis did actually win race 1, 2 and 3 at round number 1 in Lake Macquarie. So they're going to drop 5 points in this one if things pan out the way they seem to be at the moment. But we'll still be sitting on top of the championship table. But the Sting will be pretty happy to get a little bit of a 5-point eat into the lead of the Mantis. And if the Sting can continue to do this weekend, you know, their potential to pick up a 50 gap up on these guys. Last lap now, ladies and gentlemen. So Boost Mobile is our race leader, and it will be, assuming they make it to the finish line, because I hate to put the commentator's curse on anybody. Folsey looks pretty happy. His team's going all right. Team 99, the Sting. So you got two of our Supercat outboard category boats just running side by side. Now as the Mantis puts a lap there on DLR. And the checkered flag will come out. Boost Mobile, Darren Nicholson and Peter Muddy McGrath. It has been a clinical dissection of the field as Boost Mobile 222 Racing takes the win in round number 2 of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships here at Wyndham Harbour and extends their lead by another 5 points over the boat that's sliding and drifting up through the top turn. In fact, I think maybe made a little bit of ground on the last couple of laps there. And put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, for Tom Barry Cotter and Andrew Searle in Acme Racing as they come through second place for the Red Rocket. And keep the applause coming, ladies and gentlemen, for your race leader and race winner. It's Carl Wall and Mickey Radcliffe in the Sting, Team 99, taking a solid win here at Wyndham Harbour and putting some points on the board. Winning the first round of the NDC for Hornet Property Services, Motec and MSC Signs. And 2 boats left to come, so Mantis and DLR. DLR a couple of laps down. And I think the boys in the Mantis may have some work to do in the pits. I see Gary Gold Coast down there, crew chief. What are you going to do, mate? You need about 20 mile an hour at the moment. Just going to drink water. Okay, fair enough. So as Nicholson and McGrath move into the centre of the course in the Boost Mobile. That is 4 for 4 for the championship for them so far. And put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen. It is Team Mantis. They didn't have the pace here in this one. They've got some work to do, but it's Anthony DeFina and Matthew Kelly coming through to take second place. Pick up 30 points towards the championship. And bringing it home, DLR, Dove Lancaster Racing. A solid run for them. They didn't go out there to try and win this one, as I said, under horsepower, but a good solid finish. And they actually beat Team TCR, so championship points for them as well. Well, that wraps up the big boats, ladies and gentlemen, but stick around because at 3 o'clock we have our Super V85, Super Sport 85 and Super Sport 65 boats going out for one more round here this afternoon at Wyndham Harbour. And then we do it all again tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, We'll take a short break here. We'll take a short break for you at home watching GP Hydro live streaming as the Boost Mobile comes through to accept the checkered flag. Darren Nicholson and Peter Money McGrath for Hornet Property Services. This is round number 2 of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships and round number 1 of the National Drivers Championship. We'll be back real soon. We're down in the pits here at Wyndham Harbour for round 2 of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships, and I'm just walking past this beautiful bit of red machinery. It's the Acme Racing. This is basically a new boat, or a massively rebuilt boat at the bare minimum. It's been around for a little while, but it's had this beautiful restoration and rebuild done by the Acme team, Andrew Searle and his guys. And I'll just sort of show you around the back of it a little bit here for those of you that haven't seen offshore powerboats before. Maybe run through how these things actually work, the drive styles. I know we've done it before in the past, but that was a fair while ago. So we've got some new viewers and some new listeners and some people that maybe don't know all about these boats. But let's just have a little bit of a look. They use basically what we call an Arneson style drive. They call them that because Arneson were probably the original people to make them. These ones aren't made by Arneson. They're actually done by another mob, but this particular drive is trimmable, so you can see it's a surfacing drive. So the propeller not on at the moment, it goes onto this spline here, but you can see that it runs level with the bottom of the boat. Now that makes the propellers very efficient, because when you're running a propeller, especially these cleaver style offshore, what we call surface piercing, basically 1 or 2 blades and only about half of that blade in the water when you're running at full steam. That unloads the engine, gives it lots of performance, and it's not running the top blades in the water and creating a lot of load. So props go on here, and you can see they are level basically with the bottom of the boat. We have a big hydraulic ram up here, so this is the trim of the boat, okay? So the throttle man also trims the boat. He's got some switches inside there. It runs a hydraulic and electric hydraulic motor, and it can actually pull this drive up or down. So traditionally the boat will trim down going down the straights as the air chokes up down the tunnel and gets the boat sitting flying high. Sometimes I want to trim the boat up out of the corner just to get the propellers up and out of the water and get a little bit of wheel spin or a little bit less resistance and get those RPMs up onto the camshafts of the engines and get the boat accelerating away. So when you're watching today, you'll see the boats coming out of the corner throwing up a massive big rooster tail, and that's because these drives are trimmed up and they're throwing water up into the air and they're trying to unload them. Then once they get going and the boat wants to start to fly, if they leave them trimmed like that, the boat can take off and blow over backwards. So then the throttle man will be trimming the boat down and leveling it off. Now, so that's the trim side of things. Obviously, there's gearboxes, not obviously, but there is gearboxes up in behind the transom here. So these guys are actually capable of changing their gear ratios as well. So they'll look at the track. If it's a rough day, they'll want to go to smaller gear ratios because they want that really instant throttle response. If they want big top end speed, they want to go to some big gears, and they'll run them, and they won't have the acceleration out of the corners that they would normally have when they're running small gears, but they'll have that massive top end, 130, 140 miles an hour. So they're able to change the gears. That happens inside the boat on this particular style of drive. How do they steer? Well, that's interesting. This is a Bisalloy rudder. 2 big hydraulic rams up here, and they turn this guy here. He's got his cover on him at the moment, but this is made out of Bisalloy steel. Bisalloy steel has a memory, and it's very, very strong. So it can actually bend, and it comes back to its original memory. So the air comes down the tunnel of the boat. A lot of people think that it's just the water pressure on these that steer the boat. It's actually, water pressure is a small part of it. Most of it is the air pressure coming down the tunnel of this catamaran and hitting this rudder. It's basically an aeroplane wing. So when you turn the rudder, the air coming past it hits it and it turns. There is probably about this much of the rudder in the water as well, so that obviously turns the boat as well. But very, very serious bit of gear, and we're up around 130, 140 mile an hour, and all this stuff working properly. They're just an amazing bit of gear, and hopefully you enjoy watching them go around here today.